Hi, welcome to Andrew Buckle book review of Avengers Volume 1 Omnibus. This is just come out, 776 pages. Now, I haven't got the earlier version, so I can't say how many pages. If there's any differences, please check out the near mint video on that one. It's I think it gives a nice comparison between the volumes. And you can see the stories. Avengers 1 all the way through to 30. It says there, obviously, 1 to 30. And let's get on to the actual book itself. Looks absolutely superb as ever. Really good. Really love it. Now, I'm looking forward to Avengers Volume 2 Omnibus. That's coming in the post, hopefully at some point. So I'll be doing a review of that as well. But there's the Omnibus there. And lots of details of all the people involved. I love it. Uncredited colourist. Obviously, they didn't keep a track of that. Numbers 1 to 30. And then you can see there, 1963 all the way through to 1966. Now, of course, Avengers 1 has been reprinted so many times. I don't know if it's the most reprinted. I suspect Amazing Fantasy maybe, 15, possibly. Fantastic Four been most reprinted. But it's certainly been reprinted a lot. Epics and all those sort of things. Marvel First comes to mind. And also, of course, Taschen brought out a brilliant one that reprinted the original comics, which are really amazing. Of course, Power Comics, Avengers Weekly, all those sort of ones as well. So, Stanley there, the first story. Now, this one, 12 cents. It was 12 cents at that point. Combined powers of Avengers. Of course, Loki started the whole thing. Basically, that was it. Book-length super epics. First, I love the way it says there, first of a star-studded series. That's it, featuring Earth's greatest superheroes. Always makes me feel some ways that it could have probably mixed it up, maybe, because, of course, with the Justice League of America, there was always quite a churn. Obviously, the Avengers, it ended up with a churn as well. And, of course, Hulk. He was gone fairly quickly. Didn't last very long. That was onto... And they had a few stories where, of course, they had to search for the Hulk and that sort of stuff. And also, there's the Hulk, obviously, there. But it was an unusual one, with Journey into Mystery sort of story combined with the Ant-Man and not one of the most powerful... I'm really surprised in many ways that they didn't do the Giant Man as the first issue as well. Maybe at that point, of course, he was still Ant-Man. You've got Space Phantom in the next one. Actually, one thing that's really odd, there's of course, no adverts or any sort of checklists or anything like that in the first one. I don't know if it doesn't even look like there was in the issue 2, I should say, which is very odd. Of course, I love the way he keeps on swapping backwards and forwards. And, of course, at that point, Hulk leaves. And we, of course, got a brief little story between Hulk and Submariner. And then, oh, I love that one. Next issue, Avengers, featuring Submariner. Now, Submariner, maybe he could have been an Avenger. Always felt that he was one of those characters that could have been. But, of course, the next story, the famous Captain America one, which probably, again, is one of the ones that's been reprinted quite a lot. But I always loved Avengers 3. I just think one of my favourites. Again, actually, weirdly, there's no checklist or anything like that by that point. But still, Captain America lives again and again. Submariner. Really odd that they kept on bringing Submariner back. Of course, Submariner didn't probably have a title at that point. Obviously, he was in Fantastic Four quite a bit as well. But at this point, obviously, Avengers. Great little story. And then Invasion of the Lava Men, which is not one because, of course, Thor battled the Lava Man, but then we had the Lava Men turn up. I don't know how many weeks or months it was after that event, but still, of course, also featuring the Incredible Hulk. So he's obviously got further down there. And, of course, the Hulk is still there, as well as Captain America. And then on to what I think one of my favourite ones. I love this one, issue 6, The Masters of Evil. Masters of Evil have changed quite a bit as well, but this, for me, has always been the Masters of Evil. The ones that Radioactive Man, Black Knight, Melter. Now, I've always loved the way the Melter has got no aim whatsoever. Why is he blasting that instead of, well, I suppose maybe he expects the water to somehow distract Thor, which would be a very odd thing. But caution, don't tear this magazine or wrinkle the pages or get food stains on it. Try to avoid that, though it will be a collector's item. How right they were. Great issue. Absolutely brilliant. Always loved it. But now, you got a letters page, and I love it. This is one of the things that I always love about the omnibus ones. And I always think they should be in the epics as well. I don't know why they could add a few extra pages, put them in the epics. But still, also you've got the announcements as well. I always love those as well. What ones were they at that point? It doesn't actually say the numbers, weirdly. It's got talks about Millionaire Model, Annual number 3, Avengers number 7, etc. and Sergeant Fury number 8. So those are the ones there. Their darkest hour. Now, Masters of Evil changed slightly at that point. You've got the Enchantress, Executioner, and obviously Zemo still. Away, puny mortals. I really love the Enchantress and Executioner story from Journey into Mystery. So it was great to actually see him in this. Look at that one. That's just brilliant, isn't it? Just a really dramatic picture there. All about the Avengers. So, of course, you've got people writing in, our villains, etc., etc. They make a real big steps. But you're right, Gal, it was just another in our never-ending series of epic bonehead mistakes. What was that? I don't know what mistake it was. But still, and they've still got special announcements there. Photos of that was the Marvel Tales Annual, number 1. Love that one, Kang. Of course, that was the start point for Kang. I've got that issue, as I've got issue 3. I haven't got many of the early issues, proper early issues, but some just great to get. Also, Fantastic Four Annual number 2, and of course you've got Kang disappearing there. Of course, that's not it for Kang. Kang turns up multiple times in the future, and in the past, of course. That's the one thing about Kang, he can keep turning up all over the place. Wonder Man. Marvel introduces Wonder Man. Well, sadly, a bit of a spoiler, he doesn't last very long. I mean, the coming of Wonder Man, they make a whole big selling point. Wonder Man destined to become one of the most provocative, talked about characters of the year. Wait till you see him. And then we have to wait another 150 odd issues to actually see him again. Well, he probably turned up, I think, as a ghost in one of the stories. But still. Then we got this one, Immortus. That's an interesting little tale. Of course, an in-between story of Kang, etc. Scarlet Centaurian. And another one. And they finally actually get the checklist going a bit. Now, the thing is, the early announcements did actually include the Avengers. But now, I never really noticed. The stories, the checklist always included, or didn't include, the actual comic they were in. So you've got Astonish, you've got Suspense. Never call it Tales of Suspense. But still, I love reading these ones. The Marvel Tales Annual, etc., etc. It's weird, they were talking about that in the Avengers comic. They obviously didn't have enough letters at that point, so they put that one in. Stanley again. Of course, he's probably from Marvel Masterworks. Doesn't say, but I suspect that. Does it say? No. Spider-Man. They had to put him in as well. The only blurb we could write is, wowee! Kang as well. Good story. Very decent story. Bit of a daft ending. How many times has that happened? In fact, I think quite a lot of these stories have very daft endings. And you've got This Hostage Earth with the Mole Man, a Marvel tale of most compelling excellence. Cover's great, though. I must admit, the cover is one of the classic covers. They've used that quite a few times. Love it. But the story itself with the Red Ghost and Mole Man, not one of the greats. And likewise, Castle of Count Nefaria. Actually, later on, he's a bit more of a decent villain, but in here, not so great. But still, got that story. It leads on to the next story. There was a couple of duff stories. I think it was a run after a really good set of stories. There was a few of these stories that I didn't really love, I must admit. The villains in this one, they weren't that great. You got the aliens there. I don't know if they ever turned up again. They might have done. I don't know. But you got then into the next stories, and they even got the Watcher at the end. I love that bit. That was the only bit I liked about it. The Watcher sort of like turning up in the sort of where everyone's gone, sort of discussing things. Like, he probably turns up everywhere, just discussing. He backs the building. He probably turns up when everyone's gone, and he's just the fate of humanity, etc., etc. And then he disappears for a bit, and then comes back again. Right, you got another Marvel checklist, and you can see the great stories at X-Men 10, Astonish 66, and the MMF Wants You. I never joined. I wish I had. What a classic story. I love these ones. Led on to, of course, the changeover story and the Kooky Quartet, which is a weird set. I really enjoyed those. Actually, when I remember getting them when the Avengers Weekly came out, and I was loving those, and then suddenly the Avengers changed. I really thought, wow, Quicksilver, Wanda, they were so much better than the early Avengers, which I thought were always overpowered. Just didn't really do much for me. I just felt the humour, the sort of weird storylines was so much better. 4 against the Minotaur. I've just skipped, of course, the classic story, that one. You got Quicksilver there. Just a great little yarn, and I love the way he's speeding through and whizzes past the car. Of course, the Flash could do it much faster than that, but still, this was a great story, and I loved it when it was out. I still love it now. Also, now I can't remember, I always forget what it's called now, but the commissar, I never say the word, maybe that's why they changed it. They changed, I think it was called the General or something in the UK. I don't know why they just changed it, I suppose because maybe it was just a bit confusing. But still, there was always an odd, I love that splash. Maybe that would have been better as a, maybe not. Never thought the cover was very good for that one. Bit sort of an unusual cover. Not all covers work. Sometimes you look at them and think, you wonder why they chose that cover. Some covers look great. I mean, this one, look at that one, the Swordsman. That was just a great one. Really love that. And it was nice actually having that storyline with Hawkeye. Found out a bit more about Hawkeye. And again, some more announcements and letters there. But, of course, Wally Wood. Just brilliant. That was Wally Wood, wasn't it? I'm certain it was Wally Wood. Or was that the next story? It doesn't say Wally Wood here. No, it's not Wally Wood. I thought it was Wally Wood was here. Got that wrong. Oh, I knew it was Wally Wood somewhere. There he was. That's me saying Wally Wood. It was actually a story later. Typical. A vengeance. Vengeance is ours. Dramatic thrown there. Of course, then repeated again. Very rare, actually. Quite often the covers, you had these dramatic covers and then they would hardly ever appear in the actual story. But here you've got next page. It is the same scene. However, the building's green there. Grey there. Just a minor quibble, but it's weird. Why do they change the colours? Who knows? I suppose different angle. Maybe, who knows? Then we're on to Power Man. And that, I love that story. Power Man 1. And that is definitely Wally Wood. You can tell Wally Wood's style straight away when you see that. The Bitter Taste of Defeat. Great little story. Now, Power Man was not obviously as good as Wonder Man. But still, I guess they probably thought, oh, we got rid of Wonder Man. Why, I do not know. Then they brought in Power Man. Just to bring in sort of, obviously the same sort of thing. And then they just, at the end, it just didn't really resolve that story. Of course, Power Man does turn up later on. And some great artwork all the way through. I love that bit. That was quite good. Well, Captain America there. Obviously, well, I should say the guy that he was facing didn't last very long. Obviously, he was... But the next one, Kang. Kang back. And this is a classic. It's sort of actually the storyline that really set the thing for many stories afterwards. Once an Avenger. And you've got just a... I mean, that just cover was just superb. And the quality of the artwork is, of course, excellent as well, again. Always good. John Romita that time. Oh. Don Heck, of course. And then enter Doc Doom. And I love the fact Doc Doom is observing. Look at that sort of ability to observe anywhere. Yeah, he's obviously set up a camera or something. My Patience is what's his name. Doesn't actually explain how he's got that, but I guess... And, of course, it says about Ravonna as well there. Ravonna? I don't know. Enter Doc Doom. Not the greatest Doc Doom story. Not, an epic by any stretch, but still quite a decent one. I love the fact there. He's evil incarnate. There are those who mistrust my motives. Well, I'm not surprised, actually, to be honest. I mean, he's like destroying half the world every once in a while, becoming a god and all those sort of things. Perfectly reasonable to distrust him. And then we got Attuma. I don't know. Or Tuna. I don't know. I love that. Also includes that one as well. Another bullpen bombshell. See the early work of Kirby, Ditko. Though I'm thinking slightly sceptical about the early work, since obviously, well, I suppose they did, didn't they? Of course, it included the Captain America ones. Didn't include the very early works, but that's a minor point. But Ditko, Heck, Ayers and Sinnott. Prefaces by Stan Lee. On sale now, only 12 cents. It was actually, I love those ones. I really enjoyed the Fantasy Masterpiece ones. They were great. And not so keen on the Attuma stories. Never was keen on the Submariner stories with him. But still, the Collector. Great character. Though, a character that did have a bit more significance later on. But there he is, the Collector. And the Beetle. Character, of course, that battled, I think, the Human Torch. And, of course, Spidey as well. But he's still pretty reasonable. This Power Unleashed. Now, Goliath, he did have a selection of different costumes and, of course, names. And there he was. Goliath, of course, became Yellow Jacket, etc. later. This Power Unleashed. And, of course, I have to do a quick operation there. And Quicksilver, no matter how fast I can manipulate, etc., etc. Frenzy in a far-off land. Great cover, that one. Not one of the most powerful of covers, but still, great little story. That one, frenzy in a far-off land. And you've got Power Man there, as well as, of course, the Swordsman's back again. And that's it. That is a run-through of those. And you see another essay there on the back by, and this one's from the Origins of Marvel Comics, all the way back from 1975. Then we've got the bonus material. Now, the bonus material is always an issue for me. I love the bonus material. I mean, I always love these ones. It's always great to see all the adverts. And sometimes you can see some variations, not in this case, but sometimes you can see, like sometimes the writing's not there or something. They've sort of missed it off. But it also includes that. So that was 1963. Don't miss, and I certainly wouldn't have but I was only about 2 or 3 at that time. So I didn't buy it. Would have been a nice one to get. And also you got, again, that one was from another house ad, now on sale. That was from Sergeant Fury. Oh, a caption added to the right margin. Wow, now on sale. Don't miss him. Oh, weirdly, you've got all the adverts for Spidey there as well. But you've also got some original art pages, always good. I don't know if it's included, and I would love to see these omnibus. I think one thing when they bring out a new version, I think they should bring out at least a 20 or 30 pages more bonus material. Because I think that probably a lot of people have got the early ones. So if you're going to encourage people to go and buy the new one, the best way to do that is to add about another 20 or 30 at least pages of bonus material. And, you know, some more of these. They must have a lot more than this. Surely. I mean, it's great. Page 16, you call it. So issue 16 again. And this one, I love the fact there's slight variations. Look at that. His helmet there. Slight difference there. But still, that would be a nice addition. I love the pencil pages as well, which is always good. And I love these as well. Marvel Triple Action. I bought quite a few of those. When I think about reprints, I bought it a few times, the Avengers issues, and there's all the various things. In most cases, they were very similar to the originals. In fact, you can see there, they are virtually, they've given up at that point to actually create any variations. But still, I mean, look at that, Gil Kane. I love that Gil Kane, even if it doesn't actually bear that much resemblance to the actual story, but it's still spectacular. And likewise, that one, the Avengers can die, even Avengers can die. I mean, that's quite a dramatic cover, isn't it? But they're all very different from the actual story, and also that one. I mean, that one's quite a dramatic one. I think that's a better cover, personally. Sometimes when you see these reprint ones, they really do quite. Obviously, the Marvel superheroes one, not so much. Obviously, it's just an average sort of one with X-Men, and I mean, wow, look at the selection of different stories you got there. Marvel Girl Beast, you've got Thor, Submariner. They really throw in the kitchen sink in there, but it's still. Don't know, that one's a messy cover. I think that's not the world's best cover. Sometimes something in that one as well. I mean, that is not as good as the original, personally. Obviously, artwork's fine, but just messy. But still. And you've also got these ones as well. I don't know why they include these. I mean, it's nice for completeness sake, but I would prefer a few more. Maybe they could have made those. I don't know. They're fine, I suppose. There's nothing wrong with them. But it's just, I would love to see a lot more bonus material of the old 1960s material. But still, this is an absolutely superb volume. I really, really love this omnibus. Really glad I got it. And like I said, I've got volume 2 coming soon. I will be doing a review of that. Really looking forward to that. But this one, volume 1, excellent. Still great to read the stories. Love them.